Something. Yeah, we are recording now. So are
Okay.
we live?
Yeah,
I think,
I
yeah.
think we are.
Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another TTC webinar, and this time again, it's our good friend Teapot talking to us today about workarounds. When workaround is all we have, the COVID example. I find that to be a very interesting topic, and I'm looking forward to hearing all about it. So there are people who are joining in. Um, so some housekeeping rules. If you have any questions, put them on the chat. I will be monitoring that constantly, and we'll take up your questions towards the end. You can use the chat function to chat amongst yourself, each other, amongst yourself as well. And so, yeah, so Adi, the stage is yours. Take it away.
Yeah, thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I hope everybody can hear me. Um, Today, we want to use the COVID example to walk through the defect reporting option, how we report defects, and what sort of information we put in our defects, um, how we make sure we capture everything, the risk analysis involved, and all of that. So I want us to use the COVID example because it's affecting everybody actually. So I want us to use the COVID example to walk through the defect reporting process. So bear with me one sec. So my name is Adebayo Jacobs Amoo. A lot of people knows me as Teapot. My Twitter handle and LinkedIn profile are there. You can connect with me on any of those platforms. So without wasting your time at all, let's go straight into what we've got to talk about today. Hoping in another 40 minutes we'll be done and we can have some questions. So, COVID affected everybody. At the moment, we don't fully know. We're not sure how it came about. All we know is it came out from China, somewhere in China. The story about how it came about, we all don't know. We had so many different stories, but that's not the point. The point now is when this virus broke out, what happened? Someone reported it. Okay. So the someone that reported it gave some information to some people. Now, who are those people? What were they told? What did they know about the virus at the time that it was discovered or at the time that it broke out? Now, this does happen a lot to us as testers on our project. When we found a defect, we report the defect. What exactly did we report? What did we put in our defect report? I remember reading an article from United Nations that when they first got told of COVID, they didn't have the full information. They were not told enough about the virus. So most of their early days advice were wrong. Doesn't that sound familiar to developers asking us, oh, I need more info, or our managers asking us, I need more info? It does, isn't it? So when we find a problem, what do we do? How do we report it? So basically, using the COVID example, we found this problem. At the point that we found it, my attitude is treat every defect as a showstopper. It might be, it might not. At that point in time, we only just found it. We've not analyzed it. We've not risk assessed it. We don't know how the impact will be. We've only just found it. So treat it with the respect it deserves. All of them potentially could be a showstopper. So we treat it that way. If we are treating it that way, what should we do? We need to report it. We need to give as much information about the defect as possible. We need to document how we came about it, what we were doing, what we were trying to do, what we were aiming to get, what happened, what the problem was. Screenshot here and there, yeah. the domain information, the environment information, the version of the application we're working on, the date and time it happened. All of that need to be provided as part of the report. So no one will come back and say, oh, you know what? I need more information. We need to try and get it right the first time. Okay. So we found it. We have no idea how bad it could be, but we know there is a problem. So we need to put our defect report together. All of those things I've mentioned have to be in it. We need to make sure that we did not leave any detail behind, no matter how minute it might seem, no matter how tiny or inconsequential it might be at that point. We need to make sure we put in all of the information about the defect. Okay, so that is really important. So our own United Nations vis-a-vis our test manager or product owner or the developers trying to fix it or any other stakeholder will not come back to us and say, hang on a minute, I need more information from you. So that way we are saving ourselves valuable time to assess the impact of the defect that we've just found, because at the bottom of it now we actually don't know. We don't know how bad it is. We only know that we found a problem, which was exactly the position the guys in China was like over a year ago. When they found the problem, they know there's a problem, they don't know how bad it could be. So the information they gave to the United Nations, the foreign governments, was minimal, was kind of not appropriate, not enough. So the impact was a little bit less appreciated at the beginning. But look at where we all are now. So that's attitude that I want all of us to try and think about when we are reporting defects. Treat all of them like this could be really bad. And if it is not, fine, fair enough. But you've done everything you could do to make sure that if it is actually very bad, then you've given out all of the information that the people who need to do something about it, the information they need, they have it. Because most of the time, we just find the problem. We don't actually fix the problems ourselves unless we work in a team or in a structure where if we know what's wrong, they give us the flexibility to go ahead and fix it, and then we can do that. But most of the time, 9 out of 10 times, we have to report the issue, and the people who will fix it are different from the people who found it. You see what I'm saying? So now we found the problem, we've reported it absolutely. Everyone is aware of the problem. So what do we do now? With COVID, everyone just got told, oh, there is a virus outbreak. It's really bad. People are dying. Okay, yes, we kind of get that. Now, how does that affect everybody else? What are you guys doing? What sort of assessment have you done? What should we be doing? I want us to think about our project teams, our organizations running around trying to fix some showstoppers, which is what COVID is. And then most of the time, there are SLAs around how quickly we need to run around to get showstoppers fixed, how quickly we need to get severity 2 or 3 fixed, and stuff like that. In this case, it's a free for all. No one's told us how bad or they think what the issue with COVID is. It's just a virus killing people. That's all we know. What are they doing? The people who found it, what kind of assessment have they done? Now, when we find a defect on our project, on our application that we're testing, what kind of assessment do we do? Okay, so this is what I do. I look at the function or the functionality I'm testing. I look at the impact of that failure of that functionality on the whole application or the system I'm working on, and then advise the stakeholders to say, right, this is the defect. I've given you all of the information, but this is my assessment of it. This could cost us reputational damage. It could cost us financial damage. It could cost us all sorts of damages because this functionality is where it's affecting us. Okay. At the moment, the developer is on board. I've told them everything they need to know. They haven't come back to me to say, oh, we need more info. So all of us now, as a group, need to sit down, start assessing what we could do. Do we have a solution? The developer says no. Okay, no solution, work around it is, right? So we are all now going to go looking for how to bypass this thing, how to live with it until we find a solution. Okay. And then all sort of ideas will start flying in. Oh, everyone needs to stay where they are. Everybody needs to isolate. Everybody needs to wear masks. Everybody needs to do X, Y, Z. Now, those kind of workaround brainstorming session resolutions or suggestions does involve testers, but it involves more than the project. It involves more than the product owner or the test or development team. It involves everybody. It involves the C-level management. It involves other organizations that run on similar system because they might have found the problem as well. So it is worth asking to say, guys, we found this. Are you aware of it? Because we know we're running on the same system. The versions might be different, but we're running on the same system. We're using the same infrastructure. For example, if we have different organization here and we all run applications on Google Cloud, and then Google Cloud found an issue, serious one, and they only told half of us, and they didn't tell the rest of us. Those guys that didn't know are in the dark. They will be busy firefighting locally in their organization, not knowing that the issue is bigger than them. So we need to like reach across to anyone else that we know that are running the same kind of system we're running or using the same infrastructure we're using to say, guys, we found this. Are you aware of it? Oh, if you are, oh, what sort of assessment have you done? What are you guys doing? How can we work together on this? That was one thing that didn't happen at the beginning with COVID. A lot of people were blaming China for it. A lot of people were saying it's China's problem. The thing is, the world is so connected right now that if you sneeze in Brazil, someone in Finland will catch cold because we are all interconnected anyway. So we need to assess the risk, the defect that we found. We risk assess them. We measure, evaluate the impact of it to see how bad it could be, what sort of things we could do, how could we go about it, who else has found this, who else could this be affecting, and then we come around with the workaround. We agree on the workaround. We try it out. We localize it somewhere and try it out, and then we say, all right, it's working. So we can actually live with this, but we need to apply this workaround. Okay. So we go ahead and do that and apply the workaround. Okay. Now, if we think the workaround works locally, how does it affect the other person? How does the other person apply the workaround? Is it practical over there? I'll give you an example. Um, China was able to lock their country down for months because they could. I live in the UK. We've been struggling with lockdown since last year, March. And then we have lockdown, and some people didn't believe in it. Some people didn't believe in the virus to start with. Some people don't even believe in the workaround to start with. Some people refuse to wear masks. It's the same story in America. Some people just did away with the whole wear mask, stay at home thing. We have Sweden there. A lot of different places are applying different workarounds to the same issue. Now, sometimes we do get down our project as well, where we don't have a fix for a showstopper, but three different groups have different workarounds. And then we are all trying to apply the workarounds in a different state to see if it works or not. And that's exactly the state we found ourselves early last year to go, right, we're going to go the China route or the UK route or the American route or Sweden or some other countries, New Zealand and Australia. All of those places have different ways that they've applied the lockdown. Some people were able to put their foot down and go, right, that's it. Everyone stay where you are, do not come out. Some countries go, yeah, we're going to go into lockdown, but people were still going around as if nothing is happening. Some countries refuse to apply the lockdown anyway. So we can see that the effect differs, okay? And now we're beginning to appreciate that when we give advice that, okay, there's no solution for this, this is the workaround we find, we are invested in ensuring that the workaround is applied correctly. We should be invested in making sure that the localized test we do or we've done on the workaround, the absolute information about it, the total information about it is passed on. I've been a test manager for a while. I've had instances when I speak to my team and they're giving me less than the full information about what's going on, and I've passed that information on to other stakeholders. And then I have to go back and tell them, actually, there's something I missed. This by that time, there was a particular client I worked for years ago. We lost a little bit of money, and that's because we missed out on some information which we could have gotten over right at the beginning of everything going on then. But so this is why it's important that we don't sit on the information, we don't sit on the ideas or the suggestions we might have, because sometimes, like I say to people, it might be nothing, but at the same time, it could be everything. It might be what you say that saves everybody from the headache. Imagine if someone from when this COVID was discovered, imagine if someone casually just said, you know what? How about everybody wear mask now, from right now? And the first set of flights out of China at that time, everybody on the flight was on mask. I think it wouldn't be this bad. Imagine if everybody applied the workaround in the same state, in the same fashion, with the same rigidity, with the same full, okay, this is what we're doing. Okay. And but some people appreciate the information they got, some people don't. And we can all say different things about different organizations we've worked at as testers, where we give some suggestions about how to go about applying some fix or workaround and what response we got or how it's perceived of. Okay. We can all look around us in wherever country we live in now. We can look at how bad COVID is affecting us. We can look at how bad some other people seem to be. In the same vein, we can look at some other country that are getting better than the rest. If we analyze what they've done differently, we would see, because the same thing is affecting everybody. We are all trying to apply the same workaround, but how is it going over there? How is it that the whole of Dubai over Christmas was not under lockdown? But as of yesterday, they are now under lockdown. Why is it that I've been locked down in my house locally pretty much since March last year? Um, why? Why is it that a country like Nigeria, for example, there was not much of a lockdown, but there was 2 weeks lockdown or something like that, and everyone's living their lives? Why is it that Sweden doesn't have a lockdown? Why is it that Americans are resisting to go into lockdown or wear masks? Why? How is it working for some people? What are they doing differently? Now, these questions popped up when I was thinking about an issue that affected a wider organization. I work for the NHS predominantly, and there are so many NHS Foundation Trust in the UK. Most of you will be aware about a malware attack sometimes in 2017, I think, the 2017 or 2018, where there is a virus attack on NHS infrastructures, and a lot of NHS Foundation trusts were affected. Almost all of us were affected. But we were affected differently. That's one instance that is close to COVID as far as the attack was, but it's not anywhere near COVID. Just saying, in terms of the NHS as an organization, it affected almost everybody. And the impact was severe, if not because it was stopped abruptly quickly as well. But some were affected more than the other. Um, could it be that they got the information late? Could it be that they didn't actually get the information at all? Could it be that what they were advised to do, they didn't do it, or they didn't do it on time? So these are the questions we ask ourselves when we find ourselves in a situation where we are fighting something. We're not fighting, we're faced with a situation that could cost us financial and reputational damage, that could cost human lives, like in the case of COVID. Over 90,000 people have died in the UK, over 400,000 people have died in America. We don't know the number of people that died in China, the whole world. We don't know. We are only just thinking we know, but we might not know. It might be less, it might be more, but those are actual people. Those are people with families. What if there was anything we could have done at the beginning that could save those lives? So these are questions that we testers faced a variation of in our day job, and we face these things. Sometimes we don't think about the impact of what we're thinking about, or what we're saying, or what we're trying to do, whereas we should, because we are the first set of end users on any system we're working on. and we should regard ourselves as that. So once we are faced with this kind of situation, we pass on all the information. We make sure we locally try it out. We put all of the information there. We put the information about the workaround there, and we are personally invested in making sure that the workaround is applied correctly. And then when we look at why is it working here, I think most of us will have heard this from the developers in the past. Oh, it works on my machine. Oh, it works on my PC. It works on my laptop. Why is it not working on yours? Have you switched it on and off? Now, I wouldn't have a problem with you asking me switching it on and off if that information had come with the instruction in the first place. Like, oh, Ade, I fixed that thing, but before you retest it, I need you to switch your laptop off, wait 30 seconds, and then switch it back on. Don't tell me that when I've tried it for almost 50 times, 2 hours later, they say, oh, by the way, I need you to switch your laptop on and off. No, you've just wasted 2 hours of our time. I've been banging my head against the wall for the past 2 hours trying to retest this, but you forgot to mention to me that I should turn my PC off and then turn it back on. So when you look at the things you have to do at work daily, the sort of challenges and questions you see daily, you can actually fit a subset of it into the COVID situation as a tester, because we do come across these things every single day that we work, but the COVID is just an opportunity for us to look at a bigger problem and look at the people doing it, and look at some countries that go, we will support what the scientists are saying, we will follow the scientific advice. Okay, now imagine that the testers are the scientists, okay, and we are telling people, do not do this, and then you have some other people, let's not tag anybody so they don't think we're against them, but let's just say we now have some other people who are not testers, who have taken the information we've given them, and some refuse to use it, some just ignore it, some just bypass it, some don't even know that the information exists, some technically just go, you know what, that is your problem, it will solve itself, this is nothing to do with us. So you can see all those kind of responses in the response to COVID from all over the world. Some people have taken it head on and go, right, this is not going to defeat us. We're going to beat these things. We're going to do all we can. Some people have just taken it and say, well, what are the scientists saying? The scientists are saying X, Y, Z. That's what we do. Some people are saying, some countries are saying, you know what? It's not our problem. It's a foreign problem. It will deal with itself, and that's it. Some people are not doing anything. Some people are doing something. Some people are doing everything. We do come across those kind of responses as well when we look at the kind of defects we are coming up with and the kind of response to it. The apathy to some of them is befuddling sometimes. But these are things that comes up. You might not have seen some of these questions before, but some of us have seen them. Some of us have had to deal with these kind of questions before, where you have to convince people that this is happening, this would happen if you don't do X, Y, Z. At the end of the day, it's not entirely up to you to do those things, but some people do it, some people don't do it. So you look at the fact that we all have no solution until the vaccine kicked off some few weeks ago, but some people are better off than the others. Why? How is that? What could make them better than the rest of us that we are basically applying the same solution to the problem? You know? So, and then you start asking you, did the workaround work? Okay, first of all, the workaround works. At the beginning, we tested it. Okay, we localized it, tested it to say, right, if I can stop breathing into someone's face, I would not transmit whatever I'm carrying into that person. If I can wear a mask, if I can isolate myself. So we've localized it, we've tested it. We know it works. Okay, definitely it works. So why does it not work for you? Did you apply it? What did you do differently? Are you evolving with it? Because the past few weeks, we were hearing in the UK, oh my God, there's a new variant, UK strain virus is mutated, is different, and there's a South African one, and then there's a Brazilian one. Okay, so we have Brazil, we have South Africa, then we have the UK. That's a country in Europe, a country in South America, a country in Africa. What about the Americans? What about the Chinese? What are we missing? What about the Australians? Why is there no variant there? Why is there no other variant there? What are they doing differently? So these are the questions that comes to mind that hang on a minute, we all didn't have a solution to this problem. We are all trying to apply the same workaround. How did they end up with the different sort of problems that we got? Could this have been foreseen at the beginning? The answer is we don't know. Now, I live in the UK. I've not been to Brazil lately, so I don't know what they're doing differently or how they are applying it. Okay, I don't know, apart from watching news, what's going on elsewhere. But what I do know is the workaround that we are supposed to apply to this thing works, because some people have looked at it. The scientists, aka the testers, have told us, look, if we can do this, if we can encourage everybody to wear the mask, we can encourage everybody to stay where they are and don't interact with anybody else, walk 2 meters apart, and this would punch a hole in the spreading of this virus. So we know it works, but why does it not work on a large scale? Why was it not implemented as that? So the lesson I'm giving out here is the COVID has taught me a lot more about defect reporting and process and resolution as well. Because when you look at the problem when it was given out, remember, key point number one, when you report your defect, make sure you put all the information in there. Don't give way or room for someone coming back to ask you for more info, because you will have wasted a lot of time. That's time that we might not be able to get back. And that's time that could be crucial. It could cost someone's life. It could be any of us, or it could be some other person. So we need to remember that we need to put all of the information in there: how it happened, when it happened, the domain where it happened, locality. Put some screenshot if you can get it. Put as much info as possible, and then get involved in the assessment, the risk assessment of it. Do your own assessment. Treat every defect like it's a showstopper. Treat it like this could boom cause everything to collapse, because at that point in time you just don't know until you've done the assessment. So make sure you do the assessment. When you've done the assessment, pass the assessment details and the outcome of it to every stakeholder available. Don't just limit it to your team alone. Don't just limit it to, oh, this is we're just doing the regression on this. It might not affect those guys doing. No, no, no. You don't know. You simply don't know. They might be struggling with the same issue as well, but you don't know. So unless we share the information, then we won't know. So we need to share the information to all stakeholders, make sure we involve everyone. Okay. When they realize, or when you realize that there's no solution to it, there's a workaround, let's try the workaround. Let's test it. What might be the loophole in it? How should the workaround be applied? What can we do to make the workaround more effective? How long can we run this workaround for? What could possibly change that could affect the workaround, say in a week, in a month, 6 months? Do we even know if the workaround will work in a year? Those are the kind of questions I would ask myself. We don't know, but hey, we simply can't say we don't know. We still need to ask the questions anyway. We are testers. In this case, the scientists are doing all of thinking for everybody. So do we testers do on all of our projects. We ask the questions, we look at what could possibly go wrong. Sometimes we were treated like soothsayers. Sometimes we were treated like we should know tomorrow. The truth is we don't. Okay, but that should not stop us asking the questions, provoking thoughts to say, actually, if we do that, how about in February or in March when this happened, could this be affected? These are all questions. No one knows all the answers, but we could ask the questions. Okay, so those are the key points of things I want to talk to you about today. And when the workaround is being run, look at how it's evolving. Is there something that we could add to it now that we probably missed a month ago when we first applied it? For example, I've seen a lot of people wearing the mask around their mouth, not wearing it around the face. They say, "Oh, the mask doesn't cover my nose; it just cover my mouth and my chin." Could we have? Because I've not seen at the beginning there's one set of masks, but now you see various kind of masks. You see different brand, make, and so some almost cover your entire face. Yeah, but at the beginning we all have the blue mask that is just covering. So could it be that we could evolve the workaround? So it's non-stop until we find a solution. So the workaround doesn't go into extinction until we find a permanent solution. Now, the permanent solution is around the corner for COVID, which is the vaccine. We are hopeful that it will be effective and it would fight the virus and give us our normal way of life back, or the very closest resemblance of it. But these are lessons that I've taken from COVID. I know that a lot of you have taken so many other lessons from COVID as well, but this is mine. And like I always say to people, this is not the end of this conversation, okay? This is just the beginning of it. This kind of conversation goes on a lot in our test chat group. We do talk about things like this. So join us. We're on Telegram. The link to our Telegram is on our LinkedIn channel, on our Twitter channel, on our YouTube. Please do join us, and we can have a lot more conversation around things as it affects us testers, how we do our job, and every other thing. So thank you so much for coming, guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Over to you, Bridges.
Well, thank you, Addy. So this was more of a real life realization of what we talk about in terms of defects and in terms of testing and how we manage it, and some wonderful examples from all over the world. In fact, just to give you the example of Netherlands, the first time around, what we had was called as an intelligent lockdown. So people called it lockdown. Some called it strict. Some called it not strict. Some did not have a lockdown, like for example Sweden. But what the Dutch government decided to call it was an intelligent lockdown. So, which meant that the others were like dumb lockdowns. that's that was my initial interpretation of it, but that's just the fun part. I mean, they had the very flexible rules. They have the rules even flexible even now. We are also in a state of lockdown till the 8th of March, sorry, 8th of February, and then we decide further as to what happens. And this
Yeah,
is to counter the second variant. And the government has announced a complete travel ban to, I think, 12 countries where the variants have been found. So, including, you know, of course, UK, South Africa, Brazil, Venezuela, and a few others. I think 11 or 12 countries are there in that list. And you make a very good point in terms of connecting the dots and having the same implications in our day-to-day lives as to how we respond to different defects, and how do we react to the workarounds, and how what do we do. And these are very important lessons. Now, I'm just hoping that somebody is going to shoot a question, but I don't see any questions. Now, if nobody else has a question, then I have one for you. What do you do in a situation where you are convinced that that there is a defect, and that it is going to be a huge one if not corrected, but somehow your uh, product owner and your rest of the stakeholders are not that convinced? So what do you do?
um, there is a way you can go around it to not. You see, this is the thing. The way we pass the information does matter. So in that situation, and I have an example to tell you something I actually did live on a live project. Uh, Similar to the question you're asking me. So we were running a test and we found a blue screen, and we've been trying to tell them there's something in the code line that is making the bringing forth a blue screen, but they couldn't believe us, and we tried to replicate it, and it was intermittent. It wasn't coming up, so no one kind of believed it because they couldn't say. So what we did, we had the screen recorder on all of the test machines. So as soon as we want to do anything, we activate the screen recorders. So we did them, and three of us capture the blue screen issue. So I went into a program board meeting and I said, I want to show them my test plan for the project and tell them where we got to. And then I accidentally played the video of the recording of the blue screen. and it came up on the screen, and everyone went, "Whoa, hang on a minute, what is that?" And I looked at my program manager. I went, "Remember that thing I told you like 2 weeks ago?" Yeah, that was it. So there are so many ways you could do it. Sometimes they need to actually see the problem in order to believe you. Sometimes you need to escalate it more to say in an email, copy in all of the program or product owners or anybody in the stakeholder and say, look, we have this problem. It is there. It's intermittent. Give the information as you could give it. If that doesn't work, try to show them the problem as well. I find a way to show them in that instance to go, you know what? I can show you this without saying I want to show you. All I wanted to do was show you the test plan and the progress, and I accidentally put in there, and you can see the blue screen. And that was all we talked about that day. And then everyone knew that we had a problem. So we need to find a way as testers to put those things there so they are aware. Because if we don't do that, and it goes down the way of causing havoc and problem later on, we, the testers, will be at fault. Everyone will turn around and say, but why didn't you convince me? Why didn't you tell me? We go to why didn't you convince me? We go to why didn't you show me? So to avoid that, you might as well show them, try to convince them, and tell them. So all three things we have to find a way to do it. So, but I've found a way to do it in the past, which I've just told
Well, I think that was a good explanation, but that brings me to a follow-up question again. Now,
you.
if
Yeah,
I look at the COVID example,
yeah,
and so testers did a pretty fine job of at least finding out that there is something wrong, and they reported it. And in this case, maybe the stakeholders involved was the World Health Organization, which took note of it, and or
yeah,
probably the various governments. Now, some governments, of course, responded differently to the others. Like, for example, the response was of the Swedish government was completely the opposite of the rest of the world, where they said, "Oh no,
yeah.
we will, herd immunize our people." Now, now that the defect is in the knowledge of of the stakeholders, as a tester, what is your current role when the product owner has got the defect, has got the information? Does your job stop there, or is there more to do?
No, the I would say no. Your job doesn't stop there. Um, you have nothing to do by way of making sure they use the information you give them. You can't actually force them to do that. But what you can do is to continue to assess the problem, continue to test it, continue to look at the workaround you found that you pass the information on, continue to look at what else you can do to add to it, how else you can look at it, how else you can apply it, what are the other factors that could hinder that. So because they could turn around and go, actually, what else can we do to make this workaround more effective? They might not have time to have thought about it. I want to believe that in every organization, I've worked with a team of testers who are very bespoke in their thinking. These guys will think about things that you cannot even imagine. So our job doesn't stop at that point of giving them the walk around and say, there you go, off you go, I'm going to bed now. No, we continue looking at the details of the workaround. We continue looking at the granular details of it to see, one, have we missed something? Two, is there something else we can add to it? Can this be done in a different way? All of those things keeps us going. We continue going. We continue evolving with the workaround. We just don't hand it over to them and go to bed.
Well, I completely agree with that. Does anybody else have a question? Okay, there is a question from Dimpy, and she says, "How to do impact analysis of workarounds? Can you share any tips? It happens every now and then."
Yeah. So let's look at COVID, for example. Then I'll go to a test related project. COVID happened somewhere far away from where most of us live. And then the scientists came about, oh, it's a airborne virus. If we can stop the transmission through our breathing, then we can do something. So they've localized the issue to somewhere. Now, Did they test that out within a locality to go, right? Actually, everybody here on this street, stay where you are, wear your mask for so amount of time. Yeah, maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I don't know, but they did something. Okay. So the impact analysis you do for workaround, first of all, is it practical? Can we apply it? How extensive can it be? What's the cost of it? For example, we all have to, a year ago, like last year, January, none of us is wearing masks. Now there is an industry around mask production.
Yeah.
A year ago, everybody's living their life. Okay, traveling, there's no issue, there's no COVID test now. But now there's a COVID test. In the UK, it costs about £150 if you're doing it privately and stuff like that. So those are the assessments we look at. Those are the things we ask. This workaround, what does it cost us? Financial, human, logistics, how do we apply it? Okay. And then you look at some people genuinely have medical condition that can stop them from wearing masks to cover their nose. How do you protect such people? Does that mean that everyone else is applying the workaround and these guys can walk around and, what about kids? How does it impact kids? Can you force? I have a 2-year-old goddaughter to get her to put her glasses on is a problem, but she can't see without the glasses. So she has to struggle and fight you. But as soon as the glasses land on her eyes and she can see you, she stopped fighting you. But why was she fighting you before? Because she didn't know you're trying to put the glass on. So those are the questions we ask ourselves. Now, in terms of our project, when we find a defect that affects something like a functionality, I work predominantly on clinical system in the clinical industry. You look at things like, will this contribute to patient death? Can this kill the patient? Is this fatal? We assess it based on that because we don't want our system to contribute to killing the patient. Okay. Would this cause my employer revenue loss? Can we lose money? Can we lose reputation due to this? Then you look at how practical. So you've gone from product risk and then project risk. You look at everything. Workaround is the same as every other thing you're doing. Is something that is being applied on the product you're doing. So you have to assess it with the same yardstick that you're using to assess every other risk. Because in another world, a workaround is just another risk. It might work, it might not work, it might cost you so much money and still not work. It might cost you so little and do a lot of things. It might do so many things. So those are the things that you would look at. Then it's not something that you localize to your team or yourself to do. You ask people who interact with the product or with the defect in a different view, in a different light, like the end users, like the nurse and doctors on the shop floor, or the guys that just all it does is just take blood pressure on the machine every morning. You ask everybody, then look at how it affects everyone. So those are the analysis I would do to say, right, I think we can do it this way because this guy, though they can't wear the mask to cover their nose, they can wear the mask for 10 minutes at a time when they go out, and then they just need to come back in and take the mask off. And the others that don't have that limitation can wear the mask and still go out a little bit, but everyone keep their distance. So those are the things we need to look at. Well, if you want me to write that out for you, DP, I'm happy to write that out in the post for you as well.
I think that was a good enough explanation. Um, Impact analysis, of course, is one of the most important aspects, and it is also one of the most ignored aspects with around testing. I mean, a lot of times I have seen testers not even bothering about checking for any impact. Yeah, there is a regression suit somewhere. Okay, it will keep on running. If you don't assess the impact, or if you do not have any idea, and you can make no contribution to the regression test suit, I mean, you might as well dump it. That is what
Yeah.
from my personal experience. Well, anyways, I think we are on time. I think we've had good interaction. Thank you so much, Teapot, for
Thank
doing
you.
this. I think it was really informative. But the best part was the simple explanation. I think that was the cherry on top. And,
Thank you.
the topic was well thought out. I think this is worthy of a conference talk. actually. So maybe you could, you know, wrap some more stuff around it and pack it nicely and present it in one of the upcoming conferences this year.
I'll give you a go at some point.
Yeah.
All
All
right.
right. Thanks everybody for joining in this evening, and I wish you all a wonderful weekend and and great days to come. So with that,
Thank you so much, everybody. We have another webinar on Sunday. Don't forget that.
oh yes,
Sri is
oh yes,
presenting on
thank you for
Sunday.
reminding me. There is
Yeah.
a very important webinar on quality metrics. I'm sure all of you would be interested in knowing about that. And the speaker for that is Srinivas Kantipudi, who is an expert in that area, and he has a lot of wisdom to share. So don't forget to join us in on Sunday. The link will be available at all the handles of the test chat community and in the group as well. So don't miss out on that. Join us for that and bring in all your fellow colleagues as well. Okay. All
So
right.
much.
Until the Sunday webinar. See you.
See you. Bye.
Bye bye.